And what is up with it, everybody? Live from the studios of WYUR here at the La Penta Student Union at Iona University. It's Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. I am your host, Cameron Woolley, bringing you the best and only the best sports on campus. So to sum it up for you today, the New York Football Giants at 7-2 defeated the Houston Texans. The New York Yankees re-signed Anthony Rizzo, and hot stove speculation is officially underway in baseball. And the New Jersey Devils have won 10 games in a row. So we're going to start in order here. We're going to go with the New York Giants. They beat Houston. They go 7-2. Best start since 2008, where I think the Giants were pretty good in 2008, before the whole Plexico Burress incident. As I mentioned last week on the whole saga of easily avoidable non-football injuries, they were pretty good. 2008 Giants, they were certainly no slouch. Daniel Jones, a passer rating of 153.3. That is a league high this year in a single game. So good job by Daniel Jones, even though he barely even threw the ball. He only threw the ball, I believe, 17 times, although he completed 13 of those passes for a couple of touchdowns. And Saquon Barkley, 153 rushing yards. I believe it was 153 or 158. And a touchdown for him. So very good on Saquon Barkley, taking advantage of a very bad rushing defense in Houston. Dane Belton, first career interception, one of two turnovers forced by a Giants defense inside of their own 30-yard line in the fourth quarter. So, overall, another bend but don't break win for the Giants, another close win. Although, honestly, I'm not thrilled with how they played. Against a team that is basically intentionally tanking for a quarterback like Bryce Young, I don't really like how the Giants played. And I firmly believe that if they played that way against any other team, they would have lost. Against most teams in the league, they lose that game by a couple of touchdowns, but because they happen to be playing Houston, they won that game. And I know everyone's just enjoying the wins, and don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying them too. I love the fact that the Giants are going back to winning games. It's something that we've been missing for far too long. But there comes a point where you can't win ugly forever. At some point, you got to start winning nice. You got to start winning convincingly. If you're going to convince the league that you're to be taken seriously, you got to take these games against bad teams like Houston. You just got to say, you know what? We're going to throw 21 on you guys in the first half, and we're going to beat you by 30. Beat you by a couple of touchdowns. This game shouldn't have been a heart attack after the 2-minute warning. And lo and behold, it was. If Graham Gano didn't hit that field goal, who knew what would have happened in that game? If Houston didn't turn the ball over twice inside the 30-yard line, one time inside the 15 in the red zone, it was I believe a Damian Pierce fumble, which was a great play by Kayvon Thibodeau, by the way. I highly doubt they win that game if it weren't for those two mistakes made by a bad football team. And I know a win is a win, but and I like that I'm at a point where I can look at a win, a legit win, counts the same on the record. And I know your record, you are what your record says you are, the whole Bill Parcells quote that everyone's been throwing around this year to justify the Giants winning the way they have. But I like that I can look at a win and say, you know what, we still didn't play well enough. And even that, a touchdown that led to there was a Houston touchdown on the drive that got called back that led to the Dane Belton interception on a holding call, a mistake that is made by a football team that makes a lot of mistakes. You can't expect to win against teams like Philadelphia, against teams like Dallas, against teams like Minnesota, who will take advantage of those or who don't make those same boneheaded mistakes that losers like the Houston Texans do. And at least going in the next year, I want to see some nice wins. I want to see one where I can breathe easy. Like fourth quarter, 8 minutes left. I want to feel like, we got this in the bag. And that game should have been in the bag. A lot sooner it should have been in the bag. But it wasn't in the bag. And I know, a win is a win, but that defense got carved. Like yardage-wise, they got carved by a team that doesn't carve a lot of teams. Davis Mills went hog wild on the Giants in that second half. And I was concerned watching the game. I'm like, wait a second. Maybe this team isn't exactly built for this year. And I know next year they're going to be even better. Next year they're going to be really good. And the year after that, they're going to be even better and even better and even better. I know. I understand that this roster is very raw, and we're going to get in a lot of these games where you can't pull away because the talent simply isn't there. But that's just my 2 cents. You should win nicer. Win nicely. Now, anyways, I would talk about the whole Odell Beckham thing, and I know everybody on WFAN is getting like an hour each day out of it. Each host getting an hour and with Odell Beckham because everyone's calling. All the people are complaining because he was supposedly a diva in New York, even though that was simply Pat Leonard's doing. Because Pat Leonard is a terrible journalist who orchestrated one of the worst trades in Giants history. So, but anyways, I'd talk about Odell Beckham, but honestly, I don't have time to speculate. Because honestly, that's what everything that has been coming out about Beckham this month has been purely speculation. And every week, there's a different quote from a different guy that makes it look like he's a lock to sign for whatever team. A while ago, it was Buffalo where it was locked for him to sign there. And then a week or two ago, it was Dallas. And now some quote came out from his high school coach that said, oh, he's going to the Giants. So, like, we can talk and talk and talk about this whole thing all we want, but honestly, it's all smoke and mirrors. We've never had a situation like this. There was a player coming off an injury as a free agent who's coveted by a lot of teams. And granted, would it be an amazing story if Odell Beckham came back and helped the Giants? He gave them that boost that they needed in order to go on a big run and possibly win a championship? Yes. Yes, it would. It'd be like LeBron coming back to Cleveland and winning in 2016. Yes, I am perfectly aware how awesome of a story it would be and how much of a perfect fit Odell Beckham Jr. is for this offense. I am perfectly aware. But we don't know. We don't know. So let's stop pretending that we know anything. Let's stop photoshopping him in all these different jerseys. Let's let it play out. Let's let it play out. I know it's not the entertaining thing to say, but I'm spitting facts. Nobody knows where he's going to go. Nobody knows what's happening. It's all speculation. You got CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones saying stuff to the media about how we want that guy. Yeah, I want to recruit him. And then you have Sterling Shepard and Julian Love opening their mouths. You got Saquon Barkley flirting with him on Twitter. And you got all these things. And it's just, it's so weird. I got a DM on Discord. Yeah, see, I got a DM from my good friend Dr. Salt. He said, "Congrats on Odell. All the reports are saying that you're the favorite." Like, I'm sorry. I'm like, again, these are all reports that are coming out at like every day. There's a different report that comes out that says, "Oh, the Giants are the favorite. The Cowboys are the favorite. The Bills are the favorite. The Vikings are the favorite." Nobody is going to know. So let's stop speculating and stop posting stuff on your stupid Twitter account for clicks. Stop writing articles for your stupid website because it'll get clicks. Nobody knows what's happening with Odell Beckham, okay? Again, I'd love him, but let's not. Let's not. Let's stop talking about like we know where he's going to go. Because we don't know where he's going to go. We don't. I guarantee you, next time I come in here in a couple, well, he'll have made a decision by like after a couple weeks by the time I'm back here because I'm going to be going away for Thanksgiving. Well, everyone's going away for Thanksgiving, but nobody's going to know. And by the time I come back, it'll be something would have happened. A bunch of reports would have come out that would have said something completely different. It would have changed the narrative completely, would have made everybody say different things. Honestly, is more a problem that I have with reporting. And more of a problem with people eating up whatever they read. So I'm trying not to do. Oh, man. So anyways, next Sunday, New York Football Giants at home against the Detroit Lions. Honestly, they can't play the way they played against Houston. They'll get killed. I'm going to say this, even against a team like Detroit, who, granted, has a pretty good offense. Like, for the talent they have, about as well led as a Jared Goff quarterbacked offense can be. But you can't play the way you played against Houston, or else the mistakes that you make and if you bend for too much, you're going to break. And I don't want this team losing a very, very easily winnable game. One of the two very easily winnable games on this schedule. We have Detroit and we have Indianapolis. That's it. The rest of the way, it is the Eagles twice, the Washington football team twice, and Dallas in Dallas once, where it's a house of horrors in Jerry World for the Giants. They haven't been able to win there for years. On Thanksgiving. So primetime Daniel Jones, oh, God help us. One of two very winnable games that you have left. One of two gimmies that you have. You got to go out there and you got to play your best ball. Because if you play like that, if you play the way you played against Houston, you're not winning. Just forget not winning against Detroit. You're not winning against, you don't stand a chance against Dallas or Philly or Washington or Minnesota. You don't stand a chance if you play the way you played against Houston. Now, granted, Neal and Bellinger still aren't there, which means this offense is still going to be frustrating. And I know it's because there's no talent. Daniel Jones is throwing the DoorDash drivers as wide receivers. I know that. But you still got to go out there and win. You'll win this game. Please just go out there and win this game. It makes your situation so much better. If you're going in 8-2, and all you got to do is go 500 the rest of the way to make the playoffs. You win against Detroit, everything becomes so much easier. And so I think that'll about do it for the Giants. Let's talk Yankees for a little bit. I don't want to harp too much on this because it's whatever. Anthony Rizzo was signed to a 2-year contract extension. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that the deal got done that quickly. I mean, it's also, I guess it made sense. Rizzo kind of likes being here. We like Rizzo being here. Rizzo, solid first baseman. Good for 30 homers a year, 120-something WRC plus. Not amazing defensive first range-wise, but you don't play first base for range. But what he does do well is he scoops the ball. He saved a notably bad shortstop from a lot of throwing errors last year. So I'm happy. Judge talks are supposedly going kind of well. Hal Steinbrenner's really just sort of putting his foot down on this one, which is shocking. But he's putting his foot down on Judge. Not for baseball reasons. He's putting his foot down for business. I guarantee you, no player has made the Yankees more money, not adjusted for inflation, like pure numbers-wise, than Aaron Judge. I guarantee that. In the first 6 years of his career, I guarantee there has not been a single Yankee not adjusted for inflation, except maybe Jeter, who has made more money than Judge. And granted, adjusted for inflation, you got to think about, Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, and all those living legends. Don Mattingly, maybe, but actually, no. Judge is more of a star than Mattingly was in the 80s. Because in the 80s, the Mets were the big team. Honestly, I don't really expect much to happen this offseason. My standards my expectations in free agency have just been so flattened by this regime the last few years. So last year was what did it for me. Multiple, a Hall of Fame level shortstop free agent class. And you go out there and your big move is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Josh Donaldson. I'm not going to feel confident in that. Going forward, I'm not going to feel confident in the front office that looked at that and said, nah. Our front office has looked at a lot of no-brainers and just said, nah, we'll worry about it later. We got guys in the system. Says the same guy who passed up on Bryce Harper and Manny Machado because of Aaron Hicks and Miguel Andujar and Clint Frazier and Jacoby Ellsbury. But no, it is what it is. There are other teams around here who are doing better. The Yankees went from being exempt to now being the big example, the big fool in town. And there are reports coming out. It's like, Joel Sherman wrote this piece about how Hal Seimer is supposedly very angry that people are calling him cheap. And boy, he's really taking it personally. But I don't care. He saw the revenue figures from this year. He's probably made upwards of $850 million in revenue. I don't know. Why would he care? Why is he supposed to care? Yeah, sure. And I hate saying this, but if George were around, I guarantee that a lot of these starts that we passed up on would have been Yankees. I guarantee you, going into this offseason, if you saw Jacob deGrom on the market, George would be all over it. I'm like, get Big Stan that pitcher from the Mets. That idiot Cohen thinks he's better than me. I'll show him. Costanza, get deGrom on the phone. And that was my best Larry David, Seinfeld, George Steinbrenner impression. Yeah, meanwhile, I'm sounding like Costanza's dad talking about this team. How could you give $12 million to Hideki Arabu? Oh, boy, I wonder what he'd have to say about this. Oh, man. Anyways, enough about those losers. Let's talk about a winner. Biggest winner in the area right now. I'm just going to say it. The New Jersey Devils. Come on. Come on, dude. 10 in a row. 10 wins in a row. An eighth of their season has already resulted in W's. Come on, dude. Their first streak of 10 or more wins since, I believe, 2007. I was 3 the last time the Devils were on this much of a heater. Man. And last night, 5-1 thumping of the Montreal Canadiens, where Montreal dominated in the first. And I was sitting there, I'm like, they're not converting on these chances. I was watching that game, and I'm like, dude, you got to cash in on these. Well, sure, Vitek Vanacek was playing out of his mind, and John Marino made a couple of goal-saving plays, but I was sitting there, and I'm like, dude, they're going to wake up. At some point, they're going to wake up and score a couple and start buzzing. And then sure enough, the first goal, Jack Hughes on the power play, picked the corner. Then a couple minutes later, Dougie Hamilton on the rush just roofs one, a laser. And then, Montreal gets one back. Evgeny Dadonov gets a goal. But, you know what? Jack Hughes comes right back. He, on a weird little broken down play, a turnover, he took advantage of it, took the puck and snapped it. Hughes with 2 goals and assists for 3 points last night in Montreal. Just just a great game for him. He's really starting to wake up. And once he starts going, he doesn't stop for a while. Like, it is going to be a month of Jack Hughes just showing up and dominating everybody. Because this is what he does. He's a burgeoning superstar in the NHL. This is what happens with Jack Hughes now. He's a game changer. Whenever he steps on the ice, the guy's a total game changer. And I'll say this. I can say it now. Sure, I'd like to see how they respond after they eventually get this streak snapped. I'd love to see them not go on a slide. But I can say that this team's good. Really, really, really good. I mean, let's go down the list. Vitek Vanacek, legit starting goaltender. At least the last couple of weeks, he's been great. He's done what he's needed to do. He kept the Devils in that game in Montreal last night where he let it not get out of hand. Got the defense. The entire right side. You have on the top pairing, Jonas Siegenthaler and Dougie Hamilton. That's amazing. Jonas Siegenthaler, lockdown left shot defenseman, one of the best in the league at it from his side. And Dougie Hamilton, he started to come back. He's generated so much offensively. He's basically a forward with how much he's doing on offense. Clapping slap shots, scoring on wicked wristers like he did last night, passing the puck around, making great plays, quarterbacking a very good power play. And you got and then second pairing, Ryan Graves and John Marino. Graves has been solid enough, but John Marino has been every bit as good as you'd want a second pairing right shot defenseman to be. He last night single-handedly saved a couple of goals. In the first period, there was a 2-on-1 where it was a wide open tap in, but Marino got his stick in the way, jammed it away. He got in the way of a lot of shots, of great sticks from the Devils all night in the defensive end. Just deflecting shots where Montreal was dominating possession, but they didn't get anything to Vanacek. The Corsi looked good, but the shots on goal really differed from the Corsi stats. But Marino has been great. A couple of fast breaks the other way where he got his stick in there and poked the puck away from like Nick Suzuki, I think it was. Who's a very solid player, by the way. Montreal is some very solid group of young forwards. I've always been a fan of Cole Caulfield. I wanted the Devils to trade up for Cole Caulfield in the 2019 draft when he fell to the mid-teens. I'm like, wait a second, whoa, trade up for this guy. Because he played with Hughes in the National Team Development Program. But you know what? He's probably going to end up in a contract dispute with Montreal. And then, we'll go from there. And on the third pairing, Brendan Smith and Damon Severson, yeah, that's bad. Brendan Smith and Damon Severson are an outright bad pairing defensively. But by next year, that's going to be replaced by Luke Hughes and Simon Nemec, both of whom were defensemen drafted in the top 5 who have upside that is unparalleled. Hughes and Nemec are going to be the top pairing of the future. They're already being penciled into the playoffs once the Michigan season ends and Hughes comes up, and he's going to come up and he's going to play well because that's who he is. Everyone in that family knows how to make an immediate impact offensively. Yeah, sure, it took Jack a bit and Luke. It could beef up a bit muscle-wise, but next year, that's not going to be a problem next year where he has a full offseason of NHL caliber training and can do all these things. And, dude, this team, they got a forward core that is juiced to the gills with quickness and legit playmaking ability throughout all 4 lines. Everyone, the first line, you got Jack Hughes doing his thing. On the second line, you got Nico Hischier doing this thing. On the third line, you got, Dawson Mercer, even though he got bumped up to the second line. I don't know what the lines are going to look like. Lindy Ruff swapped them around last night after the first period. But, on the first line, you got Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt doing their thing. You have Nico Hischier and Tomas Tatar on the second line doing their thing. On the third line, you got Dawson Mercer, Eric Hall, and Yegor Sharangovich doing their thing. And on the fourth line, you got one of the team's leading scorers in Miles Wood, who can skate like a deer. He can fly. And also, Nathan Bastian and Mike McLeod aren't exactly slouches either. Even though Michael McLeod is caught up in a bit of a scandal. By a bit of a scandal, I mean quite a bit of a scandal. At the World Juniors, it's not exactly PG, the type of scandal we're talking about. And the core, Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, all at a point a game and are under the age of 25. With Hughes and Hischier locked up long-term to very team-friendly contracts. Mind you, and Jesper Bratt, he's going to be locked up. He's the only one that's going to get paid proportionately for his talent because his agent's smart. And knows he's going to get him money and not going to get ripped off like whoever Hughes and Hischier's agents were. And I know, there's probably stuff factoring like Hischier probably has Swiss citizenship and probably has his money with a Swiss bank where the U.S. can't touch it. And there's a whole bunch of financials that go into this decision. And Jack probably has residence in Florida where they don't have a state income tax or whatever. There's always workarounds for these things. But, still very team-friendly deals that these guys are signed to. And Jesper Bratt, might be a bit tougher for him because, he's Swedish and the tax system there is a little less forgiving, shall I say. But, I don't know much about Swedish politics. But Jesper Bratt's going to get paid long term. I don't think the Devils are going to lose him, or at least I hope they don't. And I don't think they will because Tom Fitzgerald kind of knows what he's doing. And it's amazing to look at this team. I'm looking at this Devils team right now. This is the best team I've ever seen. Devils-wise, this is the best Devils team I've seen. I'm a couple of months away from saying this team clears the 2012 team because the 2012 team, sure, the forwards were solid, but sure, Ilya Kovalchuk, Patrick Elias, Zach Parise, Travis Zajac, Adam Henrique, David Clarkson. That was a really good team. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals for a reason, but the defense on the Devils now, Dougie Hamilton is a way better defenseman than anybody on that 2012 team ever was at any point in their career. The top pairing right shot defenseman on the 2012 Devils was Anton Volchenkov. Boring. Blech. And sure, Andy Green was great in 2012. But Jonas Siegenthaler is essentially what Andy Green was in his prime. And you didn't have a guy like John Marino on the right side. So who'd you have? Peter Harold? Peter Harold was a power play specialist. And sure, Bryce Salvador. Yeah, no slouch. Bryce Salvador. I love me some Bryce Salvador. He was awesome. But Ryan Graves is close to what he was in 2012. And on the third pairing, I don't even think I could tell you who the Devils' third pairing left shot defenseman was. Oh, wait, no, they had Mark Fane. No, I think Volchenkov was left-handed. I don't know. I don't remember that much about the defense on the 2012 Devils because that was how forgettable it was. And in goal, you had Marty Brodeur, who is way better in 2012 than Vitek Vanacek will probably ever be this year. So, anyways, I just wanted to give my props to this team because, A, I'm a fan. I'm a big Devils fan. I'm from Jersey. I grew up in Jersey. My heart's still very much in Jersey. But I also feel like I'm one of the very, very, very few people in this sports talk market who is willing to give this wagon of a team any sort of recognition. Keith McPherson talked a bit about them on WFA, and he's a casual. I like Keith McPherson, but his takes aren't amazing. And he's not certainly that knowledgeable about hockey. The guys who are knowledgeable somewhat about hockey on there, Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti, all those Those guys are just talking about the Rangers and just talking about football the whole time. I feel like I want to give the New Jersey Devils, the Metropolitan Division leading and second place in the NHL on a 10-game winning streak, New Jersey Devils, the respect and recognition that they deserve because they're getting attention. Spitting chicklets. The world's taking notice about how good this team is. And finally, they're starting to get some. Finally. Again, spitting chicklets. The Brat Pack. That whole thing with them going on the ice and meeting Jesper Bratt. I'm so happy for him. I've known Brian for a while. And I can say his name because he said it on his Twitter. But I've been a friend of Brian's for a while. I'm a mutual of his on Twitter. He follows me on Twitter. Just saying. I did an interview with him for my blog over the summer. I've been in his Twitter spaces. He honestly couldn't happen to a better guy. And I attribute at least a smidge of this team's reinvigoration and the excitement around the Devils. I attribute some of it to him. Just wanted to give a shout out to the Brat Pack because he's a great dude. He's the quintessential super fan. He is the quintessential community leader. And honestly, I don't think there's been a more influential Devils fan than him since David Putty on Seinfeld. That's now 2 Seinfeld references that I've made on the show this week. I swear I haven't watched a second of Seinfeld. But that's just how influential he's been. He near single-handedly, reinvigorated, re-energized, and reunited a fan base that was sort of just there. For years, Devils fans have sort of been like, whatever. Just floating around, blah, 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 blah. But the guys like the Brat Pack, who sort of gave the Devils fan base a community. The Devils fan base hasn't had a community outside of a subreddit, which is just weird. Just a bunch of old heads complaining about how soft the team is. But the Brat Pack, he has a Discord server, which is awesome. He's in there a lot. Just gave Devils fans a sense of community and gave us a rallying cry. And which led to guys like Ryan Novozinski, who's a fantastic reporter, a great reporter, the best reporter that the New Jersey Devils have had for a while, and he's not paid by the team. That's the important thing. He's not paid by the team. He's not being hushed by anyone. He's going in there. He's being tough. I attribute at least some of the moves that this team has made a little bit more proactive. I attribute some of it to him. Now, this turnaround, they've been very diligent. I attribute that to some of the pressure that we as the fans and what some people in the media have been giving to the Devils. I attribute some of that to us as a community. And it's awesome to see. I love it. I love that the Devils are finally good again. It's bringing just so much energy. Again, it's amazing. I feel like I've run out of words, so I'm gonna end things off here. So, anyways, from the studios of WIUR here at the La Penta Student Union at Iona University, this has been Woolley Mammoth Wednesdays. I'm your host, Cameron Woolley, bringing you the best and only the best sports on campus. And as always, take care, fellas.